everybody, and welcome to the Nerd Variety Podcast. We have not been around a lot lately, but we're trying to catch up and put out more episodes now. I am here today, me, Hayden, joined by Josh
Hi, hello. What's up?
and Matt.
What up, people? Welcome back.
So today we are going to talk about mental health. And we have some different ways that we're going to go with it. But to start, we're just going to kind of each give a brief rundown of our own mental health journeys. Um, so, would either of you like to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I kind of picked up on my mental health when I was very young because first I had very um very loving parents that explained a lot to me, and there's a lot that goes on with CP and depression that people with CP have depression a lot. Like it's very common for people, and I noticed like certain things about me when I was younger, so I kind of I picked it up kind of young, and through the years I've had my struggles, especially with identification in the sense of can I be quote unquote normal? Why can't I do these things like other people can do these things? Why am I this way versus everybody else around me? So there was a lot of mental issues and mental struggles with accepting the fact that I am I am not quote unquote stereotypical normal until I got around to maybe my teenage years. It did hit a little bit more middle schoolish, but around maybe ninth grade, I just accepted it. And actually, I remember what it was. It wasn't even ninth grade; it was eighth grade because um one of the doctors that I went to for like all my surgeries and stuff like that, we we got into a conversation about um me having CP, and I'm thinking me not knowing any better because I was young and a little naive, so I'm thinking it's a disease that I can beat, or it's not a disease, it's a condition that I can beat. So I tell him, I'm gonna beat it and I'm gonna do this and that. And he said this in the nicest way possible. He goes, "That is yours. You own it. You keep it. It stays with you forever." Like he wasn't saying that I couldn't do things. He was just saying it's not something that's gonna go away. And originally I took that very hard. But I had a really close friend a couple of days after that. I was talking to them about it, and he said something to me that changed my entire outlook on it, and it changed my thinking about it. He basically was like, "Don't." He literally says, "Don't worry about it. You're still gonna do whatever you want to do anyway, and you're still you. So why worry about it?" And that changed my entire mental outlook on it because I was down about it. I was kind of upset, didn't know where to go with it. But once he said that, that changed my entire outlook. So I became more positive about it. And so like it's led me to become more conscious of my feelings toward myself especially, and how I can help people through their feelings, especially about themselves. And right now into adulthood right now it's been a little bit more of a struggle, like as far as mentally, is if I'm going like if I'm doing the right things as an adult, especially with my upbringing and the way I was raised and how to live up to that expectation, knowing that there really aren't any expectations other than, for me to be a decent human being. But you get influenced by the people around you, especially your parents and stuff. And if like my parents were great to me, so I had the influence of them, and I'm like, I'm thinking their expectations are something that I need to uphold in a way that you know makes them proud, and when in reality I have to build my own expectations for myself, and they're going to be proud no matter what. So that's been a lot of my mental struggle throughout adulthood, but I've been able to parlay that into something where I can tell where I'm helping other people with their mental struggles, because they can, they I've had people confide in me about things, and I've been able to help them get through using my own experience. So it's kind of a double-sided coin, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Did you have any other you wanted to share? Or?
No, that's pretty much it. We all go through our own daily, mental things daily. But it's how you adapt and handle it is is up to you.
Yeah,
And the way you handle it all depends on what your mindset about it is,
yeah,
and that's it.
definitely. Josh, would you like to share your story?
Sure thing, sure thing. Um, yeah, like Matt, grew up, with, great family, no trouble there, very supportive, very loving, caring. But I'm human, we're always gonna, you know, go one way or the other, I always dealt with, shyness and issues with self-esteem, and it made it hard to kind of, keep friends or really kind of vocalize, my feelings and um what I wanted, and 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 also I had, just, but I had, the things that I liked and things I was interested in. So I still tried to, pursue them, and in the hope that I would, find that confidence and break out of, being shy and being withdrawn. Um, and over time, it got better. I learned to kind of grow into myself, not care about other people's like perceptions, and just, not care about where I like, yeah, people aren't may look at me one way or look at me this or this way. But, you know, but at the end of the day, you will find learn that you do find people that are willing to accept you for you, and you do have to learn to stand on your own 2 feet. You can't have I had to learn to, be able to say enough is enough, and really learn to stand my ground. Um, and yeah, just it's taken me a long time to do that. I still, have to keep working at it myself. Um, and then with and in pursuing my passions with like science and getting my graduating like college, and then going to work in the mental health field. Again, I got to see it in like real life. It's one thing to read about the brain and how it works, and reading like textbooks and stuff, but it's another thing to see it, firsthand. um and Hayden, you can definitely understand. um because it's just like, oh, this is what it looks like in real life. Oh, this is intense. Uh, but it's still like, reminding yourself that you're human, they're human, and we're all trying to find ways to improve ourselves, to cope, to manage through, you know, our the negative parts of ourselves, and how to be the best we can be with what we have. Um, and just learning to have, compassion and just and try to be more understanding no matter what.
Yeah, I think that was well put.
Yeah.
So,
Hayden,
for
what about
me,
you?
for me, uh, I so I don't always I don't really recall a whole lot from growing up. I guess I put a lot of it in the back of my mind. Um, kind of forgot it because I just wasn't happy living, and so that's one way to start that. But basically, I definitely had um I definitely had like a bias against mental health stuff for the longest time because um my brother was bipolar. I think he was bipolar too, and it was a mess. It was really tough growing up with him, and just kind of in the environment that I grew up in, and we didn't really talk about mental health all that much in my household. So, it was just kind of something that I was scared of, seeing how my brother reacted through his diagnosis and everything, and just growing up and the way he acted towards me. It was kind of tough, and again, definitely put that bias in my scope. But a lot of that changed in like 2019, because it was 2019 that I actually accepted myself and came out. So that was a major help for my mental health. It was, I was at the point really where I was actively thinking to myself, I've never really taken care of myself, and I never really cared to, because I'm just not happy being who I am at all. So when I figured out, I had an epiphany one day where I figured out, you know, you can change. And there is a thing called trans people. um, and that was like my first major step into um, learning about mental health and getting more mental health help. Um, like the first thing I did was call up a therapist and make an appointment to talk about gender issues. Um, so I did that, and I've been going to therapy pretty much ever since. For different reasons, obviously. It's not always one issue or one thing that you keep harping on about. Sometimes it is, and sometimes you do need a lot of help in one area. But at least in my case, I also have ADHD, so I kind of tend to hop across topics anyway. So I always have something new to talk about, pretty much. Um, but yeah, it was like 2 years later in 2021 when I decided I wanted to go back to school. I wanted to go to grad school to get a degree in school counseling, because I was really into mental health at that time, because I was working on myself, and I was just very curious and interested in learning about it as an overall field. So I also remembered that when I was in school, I struggled a lot, and I would wish that I had someone that I could have talked um, to help me get through that time. So that's what led me initially to apply for a master's program in school counseling specifically. Now I am at the point where I've decided, so I finished my degree. I actually just got my master's degree like last weekend, which was awesome. And now I'm in the process of applying for licensure, as I noted on the last episode. Um, and yeah, so I'm not really as focused on the field of school counseling specifically, but more in just overall therapy and counseling. Because I still think it's super important for everyone. I believe in it for myself, and obviously it's the path I chose. And schools are hard. Like, there's a lot going on in schools, and you have to talk and answer to so many people. And in my experience, working with parents is particularly hard. So, again, there's a bunch of reasons that I've done that, but I continue to do therapy. I've worked through many issues myself, including depression, anxiety. Um, I've been I don't know if I was officially diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, but I think it's in there. And ADHD, as mentioned before. So I work with all those, and I'm super excited anytime I see a good representation of mental health in media. So I think that's a good place to bring us back around to our next topic, which is going to be, as we do, discussing media as it relates to mental health.
Sounds
Before we
good.
do that, I just want to say I'm a huge component advocate for therapy, and I truly do think that everybody needs some form of therapy in some way, like especially as a young adult,
Mm-hmm.
because man, life is hard.
Yeah, yeah.
It is.
But
And no one tells you how
also,
hard it gets.
yeah, and there's no playbook to figure it out.
No.
Everybody thinks there is, but there's not. I mean, even when I was younger, when my dad passed, uh, my mom took me to a therapist. I didn't understand why. Now I do, because it really did help. It's even helped me to this day with her passing. Like I haven't been to a therapist yet, but that part of that is because I surround myself with great people, but also
We call that a
like
support system.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. I
Yep.
have a great support system, including you guys.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you. But even that those therapy sessions back then have helped me with her passing. And I think that's why I have a better understanding of it now, and that's why I'm handling it a lot differently than I handled my dad's passing. So, people, go to therapy.
Yeah. See if it's for you. Give it the old college try. It's
Yeah.
if you I think anyone can
Get
benefit from an hour to just kind of vent or get some feelings or just see what's wrong, like
And
what's
people
got you
go,
struggling, what's got you stuck.
yeah,
yeah.
sorry, I was gonna say, and people go to therapy as basically as frequently as they need to. So it's never something that you should feel like, well, I don't have enough time. It's like you can find like an hour a month if you
Yeah.
need, or an hour every 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
or every week if you need,
Yeah.
or sometimes multiple times a week. It depends, you can always make that surrounded by what works for you and what your current needs are.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're, if getting through the week is a struggle for you, then yeah, it's definitely a sign that you probably need to go more than less. But if it's a kind of if you're in a situation where you have a problem that's a occasional thing, then maybe go less. But still, you need a space, and you need someone that's non-biased, objective, and understanding, that will listen, give you good feedback, and just away from sometimes family and friends are great, but sometimes you need someone that knows their stuff,
The
like Hayden.
outside source. Yeah.
Yeah. And you
And
can always
Hayden,
change therapists should you not immediately click with your first
Mhm.
one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hayden, I'll probably call you at some point down the line. So
Okay.
just so you know.
I can give recommendations.
Awesome. So, all right, let's go. Mental health in media.
Yes, it has come a long way. It used to be kind of rough. I guess they didn't know how they didn't really know how to how to talk about it. I remember having like seeing like special episodes and like TV shows, but I think now they really have a better understanding of it.
Yeah, I think so too. And you see all sorts of approaches to mental health. Like one of the examples I was talking about in our little prep time was if anyone's familiar with the show Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. It's wonderful, and I will give some spoilers, so just be warned. Um, eventually, in season 3, the main character, Rebecca, gets diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. And it's something that it's a show that I looked up immediately after my diagnosis because I was very interested in seeing any representation of it. So I started it then, and it was great. Yes, Josh?
I just calling it, just talking about personality disorder, because like you said, it's not talked about like at all. Like, and I think like working with when I was working at a mental health clinic, it was like, oh, I'm starting to see like that in real life, and try and understanding how and seeing how it worked versus like reading about it. It definitely gives you like, oh, this is what this is, and it's rough. It is very layered and hard to spot, and just it's a whole mess.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I actually wrote a paper about it in one of my classes. I think it was my psychopathology class, um, for my degree. Actually, it wasn't for my degree. I had to go somewhere else for that. Anyway, that's off topic. Um, but yeah, no, you're right. That's one that didn't really get much. It didn't get much recognition. Though I also know that in I don't think I've seen it. I might have. It was in like a later episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia as well, where Dennis is diagnosed with it, and they kind of go through some information with that, but I don't trust. I don't know if I trust that show's portrayal of anything.
I'm surprised that show would even mention mental health issues or disorders or what have you.
I've never seen it, but I've heard how wild it is, and I can't decide if I'm interested enough to watch it or not.
Some of the first season's pretty funny, but I didn't
It's
have to find another
so
one. Yeah,
offensive, though.
yeah. It's definitely a show of its time.
Yeah, for sure. Which is still going. It's been on forever. Um,
What season are they in?
uh, I don't know. Let me see. They're in season 16, it looks like.
All right.
Good lord.
I guess that's a steady paycheck for a lot of people, but yeah.
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, I guess it's still going. To my knowledge, it's still going. Um, but I haven't watched it in a while. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
You guys got any examples?
I think. Well, we talked about well in our in our pre-show recording, we talked about Batman and like the franchise and all the characters that are in that series. You know, from Batman himself to anyone in his rogue gallery, and how they all have a very particular like issue. Um, they all have a very particular issue that stems from a clinical diagnosis, and just how it just explodes into, you know, criminal behavior and psychosis. Yeah, and yeah, there's a lot of yeah, there's a lot you can unpack with you can go through each one and do a case study on them.
Yeah, and they pretty much do
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
certain places. Especially like, one piece of media that explored that specifically very well, I thought was I guess it was the first Batman Arkham game, Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you played it, there are all these like riddles to solve, and you get like information on characters, and you end up getting these you end up getting these tapes. I think it's tapes
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
give you insight onto their therapy sessions
Hmm.
with Harley Quinn or with someone else. I don't remember
Poison
who the
Ivy,
other.
Joker,
Well, no, I meant
Riddler.
some of them, like with the Joker, you get some interactions between him and Harley,
Mhm. Oh yeah, yeah, that's right.
because Harley's the psychiatrist there.
Hmm.
So um you get some other doctor for the rest of it, I think. But yeah, it's interesting hearing their therapy sessions.
Yeah. Let's see, like, and it's like I'm trying to think of some diagnosis that some of them have, like, or just some things you could say, some general diagnosis you could give to any of them. Like, of course, Batman's got, you know, trauma, and I don't know, some he's got trauma from seeing his parents die in front of him,
Yeah,
and he's found his way to cope, I guess. I mean, I thought, you know, training to peak human physical condition is one is like, okay, that's great, but he also goes out and fights crime dressed as a bat, so that's another thing.
yeah.
um Joker has some kind of mania and this apathy for human life. What's Harley's thing?
Harley
Very
has
specific.
HPD. She's got histrionic personality disorder.
Okay.
So like she gets obsessed with people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
there's a lot more to HPD, but I can't really recall a lot of it off the top of my head because I haven't studied that too much.
yeah,
But basically, she's easily infatuated with people and very obsessive.
yeah,
Her her relationship with the Joker,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Little manic there. A
a little bit.
little bit. Uh, but that's why I think she's, you know, we kind of like her. There's also a really good story about um abusive relationships between her and Joker,
Yeah,
that I think people
And the
somehow
way
just
she,
now are realizing, like, that's not a good relationship. Don't say you want a relationship like Joker and Harley Quinn.
yeah.
Please don't
right,
say that. If you
right,
do, get help.
yeah, legitimate. But also, there's also the redemption story she faces where she realizes it's not a good relationship and leaves him and finds somebody that actually cares about her in Poison
Yep.
Ivy,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is
I also just
cool.
love her and Poison Ivy's relationship. Um, I have one tattoo, and it's a Harley Quinn tattoo. And my plan for my next tattoo is to get um to get like a poison ivy logo, like a vine or something, maybe with
Nice.
a rose or something, just kind of something that signals poison ivy. I haven't thought it entirely through yet, but
You
that's
wouldn't want to
my
get it
point.
around the Harley one?
I was going to, but now I'm thinking I might want it to be separate.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That actually brings me my next tattoo, but that's another topic for another time. But
Yeah.
Uh, but yes, uh, especially it's you don't see it that much in the Batman animated series. About you definitely see that. Oh, they seem to have a good back and forth, and they Joker and Harley they have a good back and forth. They have a good like a villain and his sidekick or his lackey kind of back and forth, and they seem like they seem okay, but then you see more episodes where it's like he's actually very abusive to her and he's quite awful, and he does this thing of like treats her like crap, but then like is able to reel her back in. um but you kind of see that culminate in like get to where it's supposed to be in the Harley Quinn show, and you see her kind of break free of that cycle, and then like you said you know uh find a proper relationship with Poison Ivy. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. Let's see. We also have Jinx from Arcane.
Jinx is another one of my favorite characters. If I knew like her logo or something, I might get a Jinx tattoo as well.
Yeah.
Just because she's so similar to Harley too. Like they're both super crazy and awesome and terrifying to
Yeah.
fight, I
Yeah.
think.
They have sad stories. Like, man, like Harley's abusive relationship with Joker is sad, but seeing like Jinx's story like in Arcane, like from
Yeah.
growing up and seeing like what happened between her and
Yeah.
Vi,
Yeah.
yeah, and what happened. God, it's tragic, and it's just, and it was that episode was so sad because like you saw the writing, you saw it happening, and it's like, no, don't be a stupid child, but kids do dumb shit, and then she kind of, you know, the world kept moving around, and she got put in a bad spot with bad people, and now she's the way she is now, but
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it I could almost see myself in Jinx too, which is also a bad sign. So,
Hey,
maybe
don't
not,
don't go
not
full
like
don't go
entirely. I'm not gonna make that bold of a statement,
don't
actually.
go full.
For
No
that.
one should ever go full Jinx. Like,
Yeah, no.
yeah, you know the intellect is fine. The I guess you know the F the system mentality is fine, but don't you know what I don't know what was something bad she did.
Well, she blew up the entire
Just don't blow up the
like
Citadel.
tower.
Yeah, don't you know tie up your sister's maybe girlfriend and hold her hostage.
What do you mean, maybe girlfriend?
They weren't an official thing,
It was like
they
definitely.
were they were very it was like something's happening, and then just the magnets couldn't touch.
It's definitely gonna happen in season 2, though,
Oh
right?
yeah, I'm pretty sure, but still it
Yeah.
was just like they're very close. That's why they didn't have a label just yet.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. Let's see. There's also a classic one is Gollum from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Um,
Golem's a
he
classic case of dissociative identity disorder.
with some substance abuse.
Well, actually, it's substance use disorder.
Yes, yes, there you go. Because he essentially has been on meth for
Yeah.
500 years.
Yeah, that's fair.
Am I wrong?
No, no.
no, not at all. I just I just thought of a show that did a great job of covering mental health. And Josh, I think you're gonna know. Hayden, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but Young Justice, season Josh, what was it? 4, Phantoms. or was it 3, where they covered Beast Boys.
Oh, it was 4.
Yeah, that that was a very accurate portrayal to me of what, somebody going through mental health issues, especially depression, can do to a person. Because I mean, he stated, I don't remember what the catalyst for it was. Oh, it was one of his teammates died, and he goes into this deep depression where it doesn't start off as, you know him just being sad the whole time. It starts off with him like overworking himself and keeping himself busy, and then he starts staying in bed for days on end, and then he starts like not eating, and then he starts using medications, and the whole team is worried about him, and he starts pushing them away and deflecting, and they actually have him sit down with Black Canary, who is the Young Justice therapist, psychiatrist, I think. And so she's having sessions with him, and he's even blowing off the therapy sessions in the sessions, because like he's like, I don't need this, I'm okay. And she's trying and trying and trying to get him to realize that he's dissociating from everybody. He's going through he's going through it. He really is taking it hard. And it's not until he figures out for himself, until he accepts it, he's like, okay, I need help. I need to figure out what I have to do to get through this, because this is definitely not healthy. And it's not a one shot episode thing. It's pretty much a whole story arc for the season, and I thought that was a great depiction of what it can look like and how to get through it.
Yeah, so I think that was a good example too. I know that Teen Titans, Young Justice,
Young Justice.
DC in general seems to do a lot of good mental health portrayals.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, in my experience, from what I've observed at least. But yeah, other than that, I know there are a lot of negative or poor examples of mental health in different forms of media too. That might be a topic for another time. Or we can, Josh, did you want to bring up a quick note on that now before we leave?
Just like I said, they have come a long way in how mental health is portrayed and shown, and that how someone can how what kind of journey someone could be on. A good example, like Matt was going on about with Beast Boy and Young Justice, was very good, and how they kind of had to really like sit him down and like show him and restrict him from doing what he wanted, to make him really start like to for him to him to break down and really start working on himself. I think a lot they kind of gloss over and kind of you know romanticize a lot of bad mental health you know issues. It's like substance abuse, I think isn't could be covered a lot better. Like no one wants to talk about like how a lot of shows have alcoholics on their show, but they kind of you know prop them up or make it seem okay. But yeah, I think they still have work to do, and I think as society gets better at it, they'll start showing it a lot better as well.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
yeah, yeah. Um, but that's it. Hayden, you had some resources and some things
Yeah,
for the masses.
yeah. So there are at least a couple resources that I'm aware of. Um, One good resource if you're just curious about maybe trying to find a therapist or something. There are many different places you can look to for that. One good place is Psychology Today. They're pretty good. They let you look through and find a professional that you are looking for. Of course, there's like, I've never used BetterHelp personally, but I've heard that that's a pretty good platform. In general, there is the crisis line, which I think it's actually a mix of a few different lines like that. I don't remember if it's just like crisis, but one line that you at least can use for crisis line is the 988 number. That's taken over the like the big, long, hard to remember suicide prevention hotline. There's also the Trevor Project, which is really good for specifically, I think their target audience, as I recall, is LGBTQ plus youth who struggle with mental health. So that's a good place to reach out to as well. If anybody has any further suggestions or resources, you could talk to us on Facebook, leave some messages there, some suggestions, or I don't know if you can comment on any of our videos or well, I guess we don't really do videos anymore. Any of our podcasts. I don't know if any of our sites have comment sections, but our Facebook and our YouTube page, and I think Instagram, those are all good places. Any social media places are good to contact us for resources or to send us resources. So that's yeah, that's all I have to add. And I guess until next time, nerd out.
Nerd out.
Nerd out.
Please, people, take care of yourselves.
Yes, be well.